What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Driver's Seat Podcast. We haven't been here in a while, so glad that Will agreed to join me. Will, how you been, man? What you been up to?
Good, just building cars every day, living the family life.
How's that been going?
Good. You know, there's always some ups and downs.
Yeah. Um, so Will, what got you started into Derby, man?
My brother did. I was building drag stuff and he was building derby cars. I guess I wasn't even building drag stuff then. He was a year older and he got a 1975 Fury pre-ran and he ran it and I just helped him with every car, and as I was building drag race stuff, he was building derby car stuff, and then I ran my first car myself, I think, in 2000. But yeah, it was all Larry that got me started.
I've met Larry a couple times, and he's a pretty good dude.
Yeah, he's can't ask for a much better guy, I think. But that's just my
Um,
opinion.
you said your first car was what?
75 Chevy wagon
Oh,
that
so you
we,
didn't tell me what your
we
first car was. My bad.
yeah. Yeah, so it was 75 Chevy wagon, and my brother just ran it the night before, and then I ran it in Binkelman. So it was 2000. It was the first time that Binkelman ran a 2 day show, and we sedagged it literally right before I drove out into the heat.
Really?
Yeah,
And
it
was it
didn't end
a
so well.
fresh was it a fresh
No, it
car
was
or?
no. Larry just ran it the night before, and it wasn't hurt at all. But I went out there in the heat, and I drove like every new guy would drive, and I drove like an idiot. And I think it was like 2.5 minutes. The bumper was damn near the size of the roof on the front, and the back was, kind of bent, but not as much as it should have been.
That's something we all run into the first time, like you said.
Well, yeah,
What
you just want to hit, and that's it.
you just kind of let your adrenaline take over, and you're just like, hit
Right.
someone. Going on throughout your career and stuff, you've been going for, you said 2000, so about 22 years or so now.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I helped Larry. I think Larry's first year was in '96, so we all did it together. He just was into Derby, and I was into my pickup. I built a nasty motor, and it was a lot of fun.
Um, so when did you finally get that first win under your belt?
2003, I won Clovis, New Mexico, and then from then on, I'm not trying. We just top three or top five every time. But
Yeah.
we pour a lot of time into this. A lot. I mean, this is our hobby. This is what we do. If we're not working or spending time with the family, it's all about Derby.
Yeah, that's true. I've only been going for about 6 or so years now, but that's about all I really do with my free time. I mean, if I don't got a car in the shop to build, I'm normally on here trying to do something with this. So,
Right. And
um,
and that's good. This is hopefully this works out for you, and you can make this a go, and it should be kind of fun, so everybody can meet people from all over the United States and be able to conversate with them.
well, from the sounds of it, you're pretty well known from the what I've seen on the social medias the last few weeks.
Right. Yeah, social media the last couple weeks has been crazy. I don't know. We've been everywhere that we can go. On Texas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Utah. We haven't done anything in California. We try to go wherever and have fun. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what it's all about. I see a lot of the guys, they never want to leave their area, so they get burned out in 5 or 6 years and they don't want to do it, or everybody hates them, or they start ruining friendships. So, but they won't branch out. They won't go somewhere else because they're afraid they're going to get you know the crap kicked out of them. Well, that's what Derby's all about, is seeing if you can hang with everybody else.
yeah, you gotta get your shit rocked a little bit to be
Yeah,
able to realize what level you need to be building to next. You know what I mean?
right. I would
So
agree.
fast forward, you've been in it for 20, well, you've been in it a lot longer than 22 years, but driving and stuff.
Right.
How would you say the builds have changed since you started?
Oh, they would have laughed us off the place if we tried to bring these cars when I first started. Um, between the cages, the protectors, everything down to the ball joints, tire rods, switching gearboxes. It just, what would it have been? Probably 10 years ago, late 2000s, early teens, it really took off. I mean, stuff went from what we thought was crazy to what we have now, which is really crazy. And I get into these conversations with the old timers all the time because, they built the old DDOT full weld rules where you could weld every single seam. Well, we've made it now. You don't have to do that. You put your cage in correctly, you put your down bars in, you do your tricks that you're going to do that you've, tried and they've all worked well for you. We'd kill them old full weld cars, with these protectors and tranny braces, even slider drive shafts. What was it in the late 90s, early 2000s? Jack Teagarden was running a slider drive shaft in an 80 model Ford that you didn't think was going to be able to drive off the trailer, let alone go out there and kick everybody's butt.
Those and see, since I've been doing it, I grew up, just kind of watching those old school cars, but kind of right when I really got into Derby was, like you said, in the late 2010s, early 2000s. That's when I kind of started realizing what was going on and how these guys are doing this stuff. So to me, the sport hasn't really changed a whole lot. I mean, I was always watching Perryton's show and they were running Outlaw Promotions rules, and their mod cars were insane. So
Right.
I see these CDDA rule cars, the mods, and they're a little bit less, they're not allowed to do as much to them. And so the rules really haven't, if anything, they've kind of went down a little bit for me from what I grew up watching.
Right. And see, that's, Joe, he went from like nothing to something. He went to where the mod cars were just wild, and then
Yeah.
he had his outlaw show where you could run kickers either way, kickers on both sides of the car, and you could add plate. And so you guys did get to see some pretty wild stuff. Well, nobody else, United States wise, got to see that. Joe was definitely allowed more than anybody else. That's why everybody liked to go down there. He's the one who really started allowing the distributor protector, training protector, and all that stuff right away. And Chad with CDDA, obviously he runs, so he has both sides. He gets to see the promoting plus the building, so he tries to keep it, as tame as he can and make it as equal for everyone as he can.
Well,
And
that's
that's where,
no,
well,
you're fine.
that's where Joe, he just wanted a bunch of extremely hard cars to go out there and, beat the tar out of each other. But that's the problem in the Derby world. If you have 40 cars that way, 10 of them are going to go out there and just drive like complete insane psychopaths, and then you got 20 that are going to in between. Then you got 10. They're there to win. They want the hardware. They want the money. That's what they're going for.
Yeah. Well, speaking of promoters and drivers, you've started your own promotions, right?
Yeah,
Like
last year I was forced into some things. The good old Facebook drama. So I just
yeah.
started my own. But I started with Jake Shaw 4 or 5 years ago. We started Get Bent, and we kind of did that thing. And then I thought that I was going to make a better move and go somewhere else, and that didn't work out either. So now, last year and this year, I kind of out on my own.
What are your mod rules, or what classes are you going to be running with your promotions and stuff that you have going on?
Well, we used to have Nebraska Unified, but trying to get multiple promoters to run the same rules is hard because this guy's a driver shows up and says, well, this other promoter allowed me to do this, or this promoter allowed me to do that. Really puts a bind on things when it's blatantly against the rules. So we had that for a while. And then this year I switched over to a generic Blizzard Bash limited weld set of rules. Pretty much Blizzard Bash limited weld with a few extras
Yeah.
for Nebraska extras that we always do. There's some angle iron. And then I run, when I was with Jake, I come up with the heavy hitter class. And what that is, it's a limited weld car that has been through so many shows you can't fix it legally. So you could throw some kickers in it. You could throw a lot of plate on it, and you can go out there and see if you can't get the goodie out of the car, or just keep it going so it's worth putting all that time and effort into it.
Yeah, so with the heavy hitter class, that sounds like it'd be a fun one to watch too.
It is. It's taken a while to take off, but a lot more guys now want to do it because they're seeing what it is. You can take that car that isn't junk but can't run legally, and you can
Yeah.
take that and run another 4 or 5 more shows. And I see the younger kids, they really like it because, it's more juice for the squeeze, I guess, because they
Yeah.
can build this car. They go out there with, you know, Dan Dippenwolf, a guy from Oberlin, actually put it on the drama post from last Monday. Be prepared to go out there because you're going to go out there with sharks. If you don't have friends, find friends. Well, that's
Yeah.
what it is. These younger guys don't have it, so they go out there. Their car gets beat up more than it can be fixed. They can heavy hitter it, and then they can run it another 4 or 5 times all year.
Get the worth out of the car after putting all that time in it, like you said.
Right. And then we do have bone stock up here, and then we have duo, which is a bone stock car with 2 drivers. The driver obviously gets the wheel, and I think he can run the brake or the shifter also, but the passenger has to run the throttle. And most times they run all the pedals and the shifter, but it's kind of a fun deal. We intermix that together. So it's bone stock and bone stock duo together, and at my shows at least.
I actually checked out one of your Nebraska shows last year that you had. A buddy of mine, Chase Mullering, went up and ran with a friend of his. They ran your duo bone stock class, and they had that really weird looking wagon in there.
Right.
With so run us through that, because were you promoting that show? Because you ended up driving that car too.
That was the Dam Derby, and that was the big one. And now that's transitioned for me as far as that goes into Matt McConaughey Massacre, and that'll be held Memorial Day weekend 2023. But
okay,
that wagon.
I misspoke. You weren't promoting that show then. You were just there helping out.
I was there co-promoting. That's what all the drama from last week was from that show.
Well, I didn't mean to bring all that up.
Oh no, it's okay. I have nothing to hide. I'm an open book, and it is what it is. If people want to talk about it, we can get down to the dirty of it, or we can figure out what's going on. But back to the wagon.
Okay.
I have a buddy named Shane Waldy, and a pretty unique guy. He's always wanting to see what he can do to kind of get the attentions up and stuff like that. So he had a 74 Chevy wagon that he let my nephew drive through high school. And then they decided they were going to derby it. Well, we'd never seen it before in the duo class, and they turned the passenger seat around backwards in a 74 Chevy wagon. So driver's looking out the front window, passengers looking out the back, and the passenger has the shifter and the pedals. Well, Shane brought a limited well car to that derby also, and he didn't have good luck. He ran his heat, and he got rolled. And then he ran the consolation round, and he got knocked out or passed out or something happened where he couldn't. Well, then the next day with the bone stock, he chose not to run it. And against, I don't like running my own shows at all. But since I was such a big part with that, with my nephew and with Shane, I ended up running it with him, and a little too much power. We put too big of an engine in it, and it ended up wrapping the rear end around itself and pulling the drive shaft out.
What gave you guys or those guys the idea to put that seat in there backwards? Because I know a lot of people when it got posted on Facebook, some people thought it was a good idea, other people not so much.
Shane was just, I don't know, I suppose he was sitting in his house one day thinking, because it's what he does, and he just thought it would be really cool, and we all agreed that we would do it. And I know there was a bunch of naysayers saying that it's unsafe and all this stuff, but no more or less safe than driving a derby car in general. Built the one thing I told him, since it was my show, I wanted to build the cage around the passenger, so I did. And there's no way that car could have rolled, and nobody would have got hurt. It's just so far out of the norm that people don't know how to look at it, I guess.
Well, I was one of the, I guess, naysayers about how safe it was and everything, but when I commented on the post, you actually messaged me personally and walked me through what you guys did to the cage and how y'all made it safe for both drivers. And with everything on your plate that day, you had the show going on, you're thinking you might, at this time, thinking you might have to get in and drive it just, so the original driver, he could stay safe. But that just speaks to your character, in my opinion. With all that going on, you still took time out of your day to explain something to somebody that had a question.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's what I do. I don't know. My wife would tell you that it's a fault, but I don't feel that it is. Anybody has any questions, I try to answer them the best I can. It's hard sometimes because I do get phone call after phone call after phone call and text messages and Facebook messages, but I do try to address everybody's questions or any concerns or anything like that. And just like with this car, when you brought to attention that maybe it wasn't safe, well, we did everything that we could, racing seat belts. It had a racing seat that kind of encapsulated you. Everything there's no way that he could have got hurt because of it, but you can get hurt in a derby car at any point.
Yeah.
And my nephew ran it, and I'm going to bust his balls a little bit. He was supposed to be the driver of the car, and Shane was going to run the pedals. Well, then when it switched, I mean, it did. It had a 14-to-1 compression, dart headed 383 with a 583 rear gear. So it was a lot in a bone
No
stock. I mean, it
joke.
was, and it got him a little nervous, and then it broke. Well, then after that, we switched the seat around and enjoyed it the rest of the summer.
And y'all guys said that was a driver before you decided to derby it?
Yeah, Reed was driving it, but like any high
Oh
school kid, he
man.
was he was hard on it. I think he blew the motor up in it, and the training we had to have the transmission rebuilt. And I will tell you, Devil Dog Transmissions rebuilt that tranny, and the only brake on that car is the front driver's side brake, and that's was kind of my deal when we switched the seat around, and me and Shane decided that me and him were going to run it. He was going to drive, and I was going to run the pedals and whatnot. I just kind of figured when I wanted to turn, I could turn. I just smashed the brake and hit the throttle, and so we had the tranny rebuilt, no brakes, and I'm going to throw a shout out to Cody because 6,000, 7,000 RPM first to reverse, no brakes whatsoever, just letting her eat. And it's still just as strong as the day we got it.
You brought up Devil Dog Transmissions. I was gonna ask you how, you do your raffles and stuff for those quite a bit. This might be a dumb question because I really don't know. How are you in with those guys, I guess, to be able to raffle off their transmissions and stuff?
Well, Cody got with me, I'd say a little over a year ago because I tech and I judge out in Utah for Stern Dirt. Well,
Yeah.
Cody went out there and ran, and we got together out there. And like when I raffle a tranny, it's not my Cody's raffle. He wants to raffle it, makes it a little bit easier. We raffle it, they order it, Cody builds it, Cody sends it off. But it's just I'm the hub for Cody. So anybody needs a transmission in Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Texas, you know, I have the transmissions, and it's a lot easier to come here than to go to North Dakota.
I was just like I said, I was on Facebook one day and seen you were raffling them off, and I was like, either Will is friends with these guys and he's helping them out, or he's
And
just
that's it.
buying
I mean,
transmissions to raffle off.
no, we're good friends, and it just helps get it out there. And a lot of people don't know how to get them, where to get them, anything like that. And where I'm in Nebraska, and they can ship them down here, and I can have them here. It just makes it easier on the drivers.
Speaking of stirring dirt, and I don't mean to just keep changing subjects super quick.
You
It's
can change
just
that. That's what this is all about. There's certain things people want to know. I have a guy right now. It's funny that we're talking about stirring dirt. A guy just texted me and asked me what the golden ticket is with stirring dirt. Well, at the end of the year, stirring dirt gives out all this stuff to the drivers that got into the points, and there's a golden ticket. Well, that golden ticket is you can get into any show at stirring dirt. It doesn't matter if it's full. Doesn't matter if you have that golden ticket and you want into a show, you're in.
that's
That
cool.
no matter what.
I've never heard anybody doing anything like that before.
Stern Dirt does some pretty amazing stuff. They give out, I mean, between each show and the raffle stuff that they give out, I couldn't even tell you the thousands of dollars of stuff that they give out, not even including prize money.
That's awesome that somebody does that because all you ever hear is the bad things about promoters or organizations like that. Go
That's
ahead.
what we live by. If you want to actually think about it, that's all you hear about is the bad things. Why do people go to a NASCAR race? They want to see that wreck. Why do people go to derbies? They want to see that wreck. So of course the same is going to be social media, word of mouth. Nobody wants to talk about how great somebody is. Everybody wants to talk about what they may have done wrong, and then it feeds like wildfire.
Yeah.
Even if, even if, and I'll just throw this out there, even if it's bullshit, and it all comes out that it was completely unfounded, they still like to run with it.
Yeah.
It's human nature, I guess.
I guess I saw the same thing. I'll probably catch some flack for this, but I saw the same thing with Blizzard Bash this year. There were a lot of really awesome things that the promoters did. And, from a fan standpoint, just being there watching, it was an awesome show. But as soon as you get on Facebook the night after it was over, it was just bash, 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 which is, I guess, no pun intended.
Right, and it's I to get into that, I too went to Blizzard Bash. I thought it was an amazing show as far as like a fan standpoint to look at it. But when you do a show of that caliber, not everything's going to go right. You're not going to make the best decisions. And like, let's just call a spade a spade. Like, Sam Williams is coming out with Gold Rush. So, of course, that's the talk of the town. So, it's going to be who supports Tim Clark, who supports Sam Williams, and anything negative, you know, is great for Sam because that's going to draw more people to his show, and anything positive is great for Tim. But I think Blizzard Bash is an amazing thing. It's centrally located. Some of the best drivers that you'll ever watch are going to be there. They're not going to make all the right decisions. There is going to be bullshit. I guess welcome to the real world. If somebody thinks they can do it better, do it. I guess
Yeah,
I'm sure Tim Clark will 100% sell it to you. You got enough money, he'll do it. Show him how it's
yeah,
done. And same with Sam Williams. You know, when Sam's going to go up there and do Gold Rush, and he's going to do the best he can. And I'll guarantee there's going to be negativity to come out of that. People are going to be like, well, this, that, and the other, and it's, let them have their day on social media or their week on social media, and then move on to the next best thing. And that's getting your life in order, not worrying about theirs.
well, the thing is you're gonna have that with every show, whether it's a big show like Blizzard Bash or Gold Rush, or all the way down to your little county fair show. You're always gonna have drivers bitching and complaining because it didn't go their way. And who's the
100%.
first
That's
person that's the first person that catches that flack is gonna be whoever's putting the show on.
Yep, every time. And it's just like anything else. It's even in drag racing. When I was drag racing and stuff, there's always somebody that's upset about this guy got this or this guy's doing that. I mean, all the way down to if you're not a drag racer, you wouldn't know, but people that are racing in the slick tracks with street tires. That
Yeah.
pisses some people off. So, I mean, and that's usually the biggest complaint. Well, it's the same thing in the derby world. This guy got to do this, that guy got to do that, and it'll never end. You just have to try to make the best you can.
Yeah, but like that goes back though, man. Everybody just quit complaining and go have fun. I mean, that's what this sport was originally supposed to be about, right? Was going and have fun and tearing shit up.
Yeah, and that's what it is all about. And let's just face it, Blizzard Bash really doesn't pay that good, considering it's one of the biggest derbies in the. It is the biggest derby at this point in the nation. It doesn't pay so well that you're like, oh my goodness, I have to be there. You're not going for the money. Like, yes, money is important. Anybody says they don't derby for money, I'll call you a liar. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody wants to make some money. Everybody wants some kind of fame, that hardware, the money, the just the pride in general. But they're not there for that. They're there because it's the biggest derby in the nation, and they want to be a
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah. It's a really good way to get your name out there too, as, one of the top drivers in the country. If you can go out there and go toe to toe with somebody, then, you got your name out there, you know what I mean? I mean,
Oh, 100%.
I was going to talk about MHM, Minnesota's most hated, I think,
Most
is
hated
the
motorsports. Yeah.
yeah. Those guys, they went out there and they put on a hell of a show. And
Well, I think they're now this year. I think they switched over to FYF. I don't think they're most hated motorsports anymore. I think Tony is not a part of their team or something happened there. I don't know what.
yeah,
I don't even want to. I just know they were FYF this year and stands instead of most hated motorsports. It's F your feelings is what it stands for.
I was just
So,
meaning like Tony went out there and made that hit, and that's been one of the most played highlights that Blizzard Bash has put
oh,
out in the last couple years. So
yep.
just having that opportunity to go out there and do that with those guys, that's a good way to get your name out there. And like you said, I think that that's what gives Blizzard Bash its pizzazz, and
Yeah,
makes
it's
people want to go.
you're never gonna be seen by more people than at Blizzard Bash. Maybe, obviously we haven't had Gold Rush, but it'll be right there also. I can almost guarantee it because
Oh
Sam
yeah.
has a lot of followers and all that.
We were talking about stirring dirt earlier, and this kind of rolls in with us talking about bigger shows. They started the Sin City Showdown, is that correct? Is that
Yep,
what
they
it's
started the
called?
Vegas Derby. Well, I think the first one was, Battle Royale.
Yeah. What happened with that show?
They did the Casino Battle Royale, which was the March one. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that was the funnest derby I've ever been to. It was extremely enjoyable. The crowd, the people, all the derby people that went there were amazing. Then they did the November team show, and some things got out of hand and whatnot. But it was still a great show for the spectators to watch. And end of the day, they didn't make any money. They lost so much money at Vegas both times. It would take a monster sponsor to have it in Vegas again because it
Oh,
just wouldn't
really?
draw the crowd.
I was gonna say I watched both of those shows. Uh, both times that they had him on, I think it was Track Shot Live did them. I
Yep.
really enjoyed it. I thought that was cool, seeing a Derby arena right there in the middle of downtown Las Vegas. That's kind of something you don't see very good. No, I enjoyed, both Las Vegas Derbies a lot because it was something that you don't see very often.
Right.
And so it's kind of a bummer that, they don't have it going no more. I was a little bummed out to not see it on their schedule.
And I think, don't get me wrong, Johnny and Gumby both, they want to have a Derby in Vegas, but the amount of thousands of dollars that they lost at both shows, there's just no way financially feasible to do it, to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't take but a couple more shows, maybe a few more shows, maybe $1 million in the hole.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it takes,
That's
by the time you figure what it takes to get the entire crew out there to do what they do, and that's what a lot of people don't see behind the scenes with Stir and Dirt, is it's like when they line up all those people, there's all those people you see lined up, and then there's even more that have to be there to do a show.
Yeah. I think just in general that's something that a lot of people don't see about Derby at all. Like these, just the regular people that just enjoy watching it and don't really know much about it, is they don't really know how much goes into a show exactly. And so, it's just sorry, I kind of got off topic there for a minute. It's just wild to me.
I mean, it's
That's
something
a lot
that
of
it's
money.
not off topic because it's something that needs to be said, just like your show there in Perryton. For Tiny to do what he does to help out there, plus still drive, that's a lot. I mean, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that people don't understand. It's not just, I have $20,000 I want to put on a Derby. That's not even a drop in the bucket of the amount of time, phone calls, blood, sweat, and tears you have to put into it to do it.
Yeah, well, looking for sponsors just to sponsor your car is hard enough. I couldn't imagine getting somebody to help, put out the money and sponsor an actual show. Because
Right.
if it's as much as it sounds like, then, not many people, especially with the way the economy is right now, aren't going to be wanting to shell that out. You know what I mean?
Right. It's super hard to get sponsors for Derby, period. Now you can go out there and say it was for a stock car or go karts or horses, and they seem to have a lot easier time with it.
I think it's just because we all look like dirtbags.
That very well could be it.
So, how did, I don't know if you'll know this or not, but you, like I said, work with Stir and Dirt quite a bit and stuff. What's going on with this whole Gladiators of Steel thing?
This is what I know. Gladiators of Steel is originally, it's a series, so there's going to be, I think there's 10 or 11 episodes, and they're going to try to keep that going. And the Gladiators Steel, as far as the podcast went, Johnny and Gumby wanted a way to put out their derbies out to everyone so they could see them. Gladiators still went down to Perryton. I wouldn't say it's in direct competition, but it's just like Track Shot Live or like Derby Nation TV. They just
Yeah.
want to do a little more.
Competition's good in no matter what business you're in. So the fact that you're seeing a lot more of these things like Track Shot Live, Gladiators of Steel, Derby Tees, Derby Nation, I honestly think that's best for I guess business. It's the best thing for the sport because you're getting more eyes on the sport.
Oh, 100%. And you're not going to have the same talent everywhere. I mean, Derby Nation TV has their thing, Track Shot Live has their guys, and I don't even know, to be honest. I'm sure Gladiators of Steel, I don't know if it'll be called that. I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be some kind of podcast or live feed, live stream.
Well, I'm just letting them know they're not going to be better than Derby Dallas's podcast.
There you go. Keep yourself at the top, and that's all that matters.
I mean, I'm trying my best, man. I don't have, nearly the funding or all that stuff, but I mean, I'm just in my basement shooting an episode with Wil Steinbeck, so I think I'm doing pretty good right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that's what it takes. The more you do and the more you get out there, and if you want, I can reach out to some people to see if they'll come on. And
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
Your biggest deal is, I know you only have so many days off, and trying to fit that in, plus trying to fit everything in that you do in your everyday life. I mean, I'm appreciative of that you even want to be on. And the more you do this, people are going to be appreciative that in your off time, you choose to work.
Oh yeah, I mean, got to grind, got to make the hustle,
Yeah. Hustle's what makes the dream work.
I'm gonna make a quick shout out to a buddy of mine. He runs American Arts Tattoo there in Perryton, Texas. Andrew Lauder. He's the one that he's the one that told me at a real young age, go find a side hustle, find something you like to do, and make it work.
Yeah, and
So,
stick to it. And that's just it. Where I build cars now. I worked in the oil field for 20 years, from North Dakota all the way to pretty much Texas, and that's no fun. I busted my ass for a whole lot of years, and now I build cars. I'm fortunate enough to have enough customers that think I'm good at what I do. So I'm going to ride this until you know it can't do it anymore, or somebody comes in and tries to destroy it because they're an
yeah.
asshole.
Well, I was gonna bring that up too, man. You're building full time for your job. You're building cars now for people, right?
Yep, that's what I do. I literally build demolition derby shit for a living.
Well, run us through that, man. How'd you get started doing that?
Really, what it turned into, I worked in the oil field for a long time, and then I came back to Nebraska and I went testing, which is DST testing. I'm not going to go into that. It's an oil field job, but you're not busy all the time. So idle hands to the devil's playground. If you don't have something to do, then it always goes to no good. Not that it ever
Yeah.
did, but so I started building cars. Well, then I built a car for a guy, and he wanted a wagon versus a sedan, so I sold it. And then I built another car for a guy, and then it slowly turned into, well, I didn't know you were doing that. Would you be willing to build a car for me? Well, sure. And then it just slowly just kind of took off. And there's a lot of people out there, like you just said, find a side hustle. Well, they have their job, plus they have a side hustle, or maybe two side hustles. They don't have time to build a car, but they're still extremely passionate
Yeah.
about the sport. So
I
they still want to do it. Or like they just flat out don't want to build a car. They could have all the time in the world. They just don't want to do it. And they are in a position in their life where they can pay somebody to do it.
that's
And
that's the
there's a
dream
lot
right
of
there.
there's a lot of haters out there that, I'll never pay somebody to build my car. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna be
Well, that's
kind of a
cool.
jerk here. Well, you already did once you bought it. GM built that car one time, or so did Mopar, or so did Ford. And any kind of racing that you get into, anybody that says that, did you build your own rear end from start to finish? Did you build your own tranny, your cradle, your everything? Somebody
Yeah.
built stuff that's on your car. Don't
Well, I mean,
don't hate because other people have them do the whole car.
I don't know how you can fault somebody for just taking the easier route. You know what I mean? Because I mean,
Right.
I'll
And
be
then,
honest. If I could afford some of that stuff to be pre-built, I would.
oh yeah. And if I could afford somebody to build my cars, I for damn sure would do it. Make my life a lot easier. Make me and my wife's relationship probably a little bit better, because that's the problem that is now, is when you're as passionate as I am, when the weekends come and you should be at home spending time with family. Well, I just bring my boy, comes down here to the shop, and he'll do all this stuff. But you're so passionate about it, sometimes you forget what time even is, and it's
Yeah.
9, 10 o'clock at night on a weekday, 2 or 3 days in a row, because you're trying to get this stuff knocked out.
Yeah, I ran into that too building this last car for Perryton's Derby. I got the car in mid-July and didn't get started on it till August. Well, as you know, Perryton's Derby is the last weekend of August, so I built that car
Right.
in a month. And there were some nights I'd look at the clock and it'd be 1 or 2 in the morning, and I'd be like, "Oh shit, I got work tomorrow."
It
It's
happens
just
here a lot, and it really, I mean, I don't know. I love it so much that time isn't a thing. I just want to keep working on it. I want to keep changing things and doing things a little bit different to see, what it's going to do here, what it's going to do there, talking with the customers. And a lot of customers, they want certain things, they want a certain way for themselves, and that's fine too.
yeah,
And I guess for me, I don't build any car less than what I would want if I was driving it. Every car is built as if I was going to drive it, the quality and everything.
so you're not one of these old veteran guys that, no, I'm not showing you how to do that. It's a
No,
secret. I
and
can't.
I think that's what it's all about. With me and Larry, when Larry first started and I first started with him, that's what these old guys wouldn't tell you anything for the life of them. They were just complete jerks all the time, and I don't want to be that way. That's why, I should probably make more TikToks, but that takes a lot of time also.
Yeah.
And I'll show anybody anything they want to see, and I have an open door policy. And the amount of people that will come to my shop, and they'll hover at that front door. Get the hell away from my door. If you want to go look at something, go look at it. You can look at anything you want. uh,
Yeah.
I don't have anything to hide, because at the end of the day, it's all driving. And a good friend of mine made a comment a long time ago. Derbying is a lot about luck, and luck favors those who are prepared. So you get out of it what you put into it. If you're
Yeah.
losing all the time, maybe stop dinking around and actually pay attention to what you're doing, or ask somebody that are willing to help you out, and don't be so prideful that you can't take the help. Take the help. That's what they're there for. If they're offering
Yeah.
information and they do well, take it.
Well, see, and I think we need a lot more guys like you in sport because, you can't be just old guys out derbying for the rest of their lives, you're gonna have younger guys start coming in, guys or gals, I don't discriminate, but you're gonna have, more younger people coming in and wanting to derby and stuff that don't really know what's going on. They've never really been around it. They just want to get in there and do it. So they're gonna need help.
Oh yeah, they have to have the help. That's I made that comment before about what Dan said. You're out there with sharks. That's what he's meaning. You know, Perryton, Texas is a good derby to discuss. Also, when you go to Perryton, you better have your stuff together. You better, your car better run good, because there's a lot of great drivers that go down there. And if you're a new guy starting out and you didn't ask any questions, they're probably going to chew you up pretty quick. They're not going to hurt you by any means, but they're going to chew you up and go through it. So if you can talk to somebody, and most anybody will help you out. The biggest thing is there's such a stigma about how everything's so secret. It's not really that secret. People don't care. You want to know something, go ask one of your local guys. Obviously, trying to say this in a nice way. If the guy's a dickhead all the time, don't go ask him for help, because he's not going to help you. But there's
Yeah.
several people out there that are always happy. If you ask them a question, they're going to give you an honest answer 8 out of 10 times.
And they probably know just as much as the guy who was being an asshole.
Right. Oh, definitely.
So you brought up your TikTok earlier, and all that is you're going through and kind of showing people, what we're talking about, different ways they can do things to their frames, and what I guess possessed you to do that.
I don't know. It's probably a little bit of vanity in that too. I'm proud of what I do. I'm proud of how my work looks. I feel that my craftsmanship's there, and really, you see all these young guys, and they go out there and they've got the same car. A big name driver's got a 74 Impala. He's got his car built one way. This young kid's got a 74 Impala, and they don't bend the same. Well, it's
Yeah.
it's kind of a way to even the playing field, and that's what these kids want. They need those little tips and tricks to help them get their car going. So if I can facilitate that and help them and kind of show them what works for us, not saying it's the right way, but it's what works for me, and it's what works for the cars that I build. Maybe it'll help them out and make them better drivers and better builders.
I think you going and doing the TikTok thing, that's one of the biggest apps in the world right now, especially for young people. So, I've seen guys like Jason Kinman, who everybody ran through the mud at Blizzard Bash this year. I think honestly, you guys are doing some pretty good things on that app.
I agree. I don't know Jason Kidman at all. I don't know that I've ever even met the guy, but he puts a lot out there also. People will pay attention. You know, their cars will be better. And he's always upbeat, like
Yeah.
always, even after Blizzard Bash. And, I'll admit I was one of the dickheads that was that, I probably didn't say some of the nicest things and whatever, but nothing against the guy. He builds amazing builds and he drives hard. He just one of those deals. When it catches you,
Oh,
you have to be able to laugh about it. And when he came out with that TikTok explaining everything, and he was still extremely upbeat. Like
yeah.
everybody knows we're not perfect by any means.
That's something you don't get very often in the sport, especially when, he got I believe he's one of the guys that got rolled on his lid, and then
Yep.
having everybody come at you on their Snapchat stories making fun of the "What's up, Derby freaks," which you guys are better. Be better than that. He was still
Well,
super upbeat about it.
it's the same thing we discussed before. That's what people go for. Anything they can do to incite drama or anything like that. And I'm not saying that people are drama queens in general, but they really are. Anything that can go that route. And for Kinman to show, for lack of better words, humility and come out with that and be completely as upbeat and everything else as he is. What more could you ask for? That's a great guy in my opinion. And I've never even met him.
That's a good example of how, Derby drivers got to be too, because you get knocked on your ass, people are probably going to make fun of you if you get laid, if somebody comes out there and lays a massive track shot on you. And if you get out and you're sour about it, you're just letting those people talking shit on you. You're just letting those guys
You're
win.
just feeding the fire is all you're doing.
But so you got what shows do you got planned up? Because we're coming up here on little before an hour.
Well, the only thing I got going is I'm building a car for a customer and he's helping me out. It's going to go to Cornhusker Chaos, which is December 31st and January 1st. He's
I
running
will
a
be
limited
there.
world team. He's running a limited world team with Anthony Ward at Brady Grafton. And then after that, I've got 2 or 3 cars that I got to knock out for Capital City Carnage. And then it's on to the McConaughey Massacre cars.
Are you gonna be present at the Cornhusker Chaos? I
Yep.
think is what you called it.
Yeah, Cornhusker Cat. I'm gonna run duo car with Sean Scarrow. So I'll be running a duo car, plus I'll be there to help assist with this car that's in the shop right now.
Well, I'll be there recording a vlog. Maybe I can come by and get an interview with you and talk about the car that you're taking up there.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Oh, I only put the cage in the car. Sean Scarrow's pretty much building it, so Sean's a good friend of mine, and he's got a kid named Trevor that's a good friend of mine, and he called and asked if I'd run, so I'm like, well, why not? Let's have some fun.
And your promoter thing, it's called Will Be Yours or is it Wilbur's? Because I know your first.
It's will be yours is what
Okay,
but it's my name. It's just kind of a pun or
a
whatever.
on
Yeah.
your name.
Yep.
And what shows do y'all have planned for that? Because you said you had
We have
6 or 8 shows planned.
well, not so many, not I think around 5 or 6, but we should if we keep everything we had last year, there'll be McConaughey Massacre and then Stockville, Nebraska, Oberlin, Kansas, Hoxie, Kansas, and Sydney, Nebraska. And there's a possibility I'm in talks with a couple Colorado shows. I got to get some stuff figured out over there. So it could be 6 and it could be 10. Just trying to get everything figured out before the year's over.
All right. Well, I know you said some of those names when you were talking about which cars you were building and stuff for those shows. And if I got confused and you had already told me that those were the shows
No,
your promotions is
nope.
running, I apologize.
No, I was just saying the car, like for me, that's all I got. I got some Capital City Carnage cars and Topeka that I need to get done and then move on to the McConaughey Massacre. I have a couple cars I have to get done for there.
Are you signed up for Carnage?
Yeah, I'm signed up for Carnage. I'm gonna go down there and see if I can have some fun with the big guys, I guess.
Well, hell, I'll if I'm off work, I plan on going to that show too. Like I said, this year was kind of hard for content. Everybody just seems super busy with their stuff they had going on, and I get it. But I'm gonna try to really, get some shit out there for some people.
Well, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if they think you're annoying enough to go on your podcast, you're still going to get good content out of them. And most of the time, if they're on your podcast, they're going to be as honest as they can be. And that's what people need to see. They need to see that some of the bigger name drivers, they're not arrogant. They're just like everyone else. They're just normal people
Yeah,
that go to work every day. They just enjoy this hobby and they love it.
I couldn't agree more with you, Will. But
So,
well, I'll let you go. It's about lunchtime. Thanks for spending an hour with me today. I really appreciate it, sir.
well, thanks for having me, big guy. But I'm gonna try to figure out how to get out of here and perfect timing because I got somebody knocking on my door. So
All right.
I'll see
Catch
you,
you
big
later,
guy.
buddy.